So I'm here in Buffalo for the past 50 years and some more, most of my adult life, and it's half a century, you know. And I visited Romania only once since I'm here. We took our son to visit Romania in order to have an idea where we were coming from, to see the graves of our ancestors. And I came back very disappointed and happy that I wasn't there anymore. But to tell you the truth, the rabbi, when he gave me this assignment, I started to think back and to evaluate the country, the events, the history. And I realized that my perception might be somewhat distorted, but the facts are what they are. So I'm going to make the story factual. Romania is a beautiful country, has majestic mountains and beautiful meadows, the second longest river in the world, the Danube. It has the beautiful beaches. In a word, it's very good for tourists. It's not good for the Jews, though. But they still have a Yiddish theater, which became quite famous in Europe. Well, it seems that Jewish tombs Jewish burial tombstones were found dating from 100 Common Era. So Jewish people were coming along with the Roman garrisons and established themselves there. And since then, there is quite a history about them. They contributed a lot to the economical and cultural development of Romania. And to give you an idea, in 1934, there were about 700,000 Jews. Now, let's put it in the perspective. Romania is the size, almost the double size of New York State. But the number of the inhabitants, the population, is almost half. It's half? No, it's about the same. So in a biggest territory, it's about the same amount of people. So Romania is not such a big country, it's not so populated. And having 700,000 Jews in 1934, it was quite a lot. And before the World War II, they were 800,000 of Jews. And after the Second World War, there were only 300,000 Jews. And now they are about 9,000. I'll have to move fast and to fast forward to 1960s in order to tell my personal story. So what happened in 1960s in Romania, it was the dictatorship, the communist dictatorship was there, but Ceausescu opened a little bit the door towards the West because he became very afraid of the Russians. In 1956, the Russian rolled their tanks into Hungary, and in 1969, they went to Czechoslovakia. So Ceausescu was trying to be diplomatic and be involved with Western countries. The relationship with Israel was warming up. And the story is that starting in 1948, Israel provided economic help, assistance, a lot of technological and agricultural assistance to Romania in exchange for Jews. So all this time, Jews were sent to Israel based on the economical exchange. Also in the 60s, it was a British businessman, Henry Jacober, maybe he had a Romanian origin, and he was the middleman between families who lived in Europe and had the money, had the financial means to purchase Romanian Jews. and it was about 2,000 or 3,000 Jew, considering the occupation and the profession and the education. So Jews were sold permanently. Well, after the 1967 war, Romania was the only country from the Eastern Bloc who maintained a diplomatic relationship with Israel, but they halted the transactions with Israel in deference to the Arabs' friends. But in '69, they were forced to restart the relationship, the economical exchange, and also they were strapped for cash, and now they were asking cash. So we were sure that we can apply again for a visa to go to Israel to immigrate. In 1969, in July, I think, Richard Nixon visited Romania and stayed for 2 days, and it was warmly received, and we, the Jews, had so much hope that he was advocating for us, that we got emboldened to stay in line and apply to immigrate to Israel. The situation was such, Mirel applied many times to go to immigrate to Israel before we got married. And every time he was refused based on his profession. And after he was refused, he was demoted, he looked for other jobs. So when we got married in '65, we stopped this project. But after in '69, we decided to apply together. So we gathered our documents, and it was quite an endeavor. It was a struggle also because we needed to keep it secret. And afterwards, we stayed in line overnight at the Ministry of Interior because it was a long line, and you never know when they'll say, this is the quota for today, you can go home. So we stayed in line, also tried to be inconspicuous, not to be recognized like everybody else, because everything was a secret. Shortly after we got the response, we were denied. And it was a very polite refusal because Mirel was important and essential in his profession to contribute to the Romanian economy. We were really disappointed, but at the same time, Romania opened the door to trips and excursions to Hungary and Czechoslovakia. So we applied to Hungary and Czechoslovakia for a trip for our vacation. And we were given 30 days, a passport. We were approved, which was a surprise. And the passport was only for Hungary and Czechoslovakia. It wasn't for any other country, only Hungary and Czechoslovakia. So in order to go on this excursion, you had to purchase a package. And they were vouchers for lodging, for hotels, for meals, for gasoline, because they didn't provide any money, any currency. So we purchased this package, and we decided to leave with our plan to escape eventually to the West. We planned to leave before a long weekend. The first one was 1st of May. On the 30th of April, in the meantime, we made preparation. We purchased a lot of camping equipment, non-perishable goods, food, which we knew that it was well sought in Hungary and Czechoslovakia, and even for ourselves. And little by little, we prepared our trip. And in 30th of April, we went to the National Bank, the only bank in Romania, to withdraw most of our savings. And walking back home, casually, we met my husband, Mirel's sister, and we greeted each other warmly. We passed the envelope with the money. They had a key to our apartment. Anyhow, we embraced casually for good night and we went home. So they knew what our plan was. Our friends were guessing, but we didn't do any big fuss about it. They knew that we were going on our vacation. So on the 1st of May, 1970, we drove towards Budapest. We arrived there in the evening. We went to the hotel which was assigned to us. It was a Bed Hotel, Elizabeth, which happened to be the hotel where Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton got reconciled, and he gave her the big diamond. And oh, we were so happy. We are staying in such a famous place. It ended up to be our room at the mansard below the roof. A very small room, low ceiling, only one little sink, the toilet on the hallway. But we were happy. We were there, we were happy, we were on our vacation. The next day we went to the Bureau of Tourism to exchange our vouchers for currency, to be independent, to be free, to sleep where we want and to eat where we want. And so we did. And we had an address of a relative of one of our friends. We went there, we stayed with her. She was very nice and hospitable. She didn't charge us, she didn't want any money, but she accepted graciously some of our goodies from our trunk. So we stayed there as long as we needed. And then we visited, we did some tourism all the time with a heavy feeling that we have to act, we have to do, but we can be suspicious. So we went to the first border place with Austria, and we had a plan what to explain to the officer. And Mirel explained to the officer that we want to go to Vienna to spend a couple of days, then to go to Czechoslovakia, spend our vacation, come back to Hungary, and then back home. And that guy didn't buy it. And he excused himself, and next to him came another officer who was speaking Romanian. And he was quite angry with us and threatening and cursing us. And they put us a stamp over here, and on top of the stamp, another stamp. And he said this stamp is to show it to the Romanian authorities for them to know what your plans were, what you were planning to do. So you can imagine how we felt after this, how threatened and in a way desperate, but we have to calm ourselves down and to pursue our plans, our vacation, not to become more suspicious, because always you think that people are following you, that people are looking for you. So we went to Czechoslovakia. We spent some time, continue there, and we did some touristic sightseeing. And we arrived in Prague. During the day, we went straight to the Jewish cemetery, hoping that there we are going to find some Jewish people to assist us, but nobody was there. So in front of the cemetery, we opened our map. Oh no, first we went to the touristic office to get our money to make sure we are free to choose where we go and what we spend. And well, in front of the cemetery, we opened our map in order to see eventually a camping site. And a lady, a very nice middle-aged lady, approached us and offered us some assistance to look on the map for us. And we explained what we were looking for. And she invited us to her house. And she asked us to stay with them. She was living in a nice apartment. She was a librarian. She had a teenage daughter, and her husband was the conductor of the Philharmonic Symphony. And at that time in Prague, It was the Spring Music Festival. You can imagine our luck. We were invited with a family to a couple of concerts, and we stayed with them in a very friendly atmosphere and very smart people. I can't tell you how we communicated, but it went easily. I don't know. I still can't remember. So after a while, we did some tourism. We enjoyed very much the old city with the music in every single church. People from all over the world attending the concerts. And we started to have an image of how they look like, how people from the Western world look like. They don't have the same type of blouses. They don't have that physiognomy. It was another world. So we started to explore the map. Mirel was an expert. So we tried one border. I want to make it short. We tried one border, and the officer came out and excused himself that our plan he wasn't able to let us go. And behind him was a Russian officer or a tank. And we tried this quite a few places. Mirel remember like 5, 6 places. And we really were discouraged. And in a way, I think it was a desperation. It was hidden from each other, but we were really worried what will happen to us if we return to Romania. So Mirel found a little point on the map, which we weren't sure it was for real, but we pursued. And it was a dirty road for horse and wagons. And we arrived in a little cabin, and there were 2 Czech officers smiling, happy to see people. They didn't see people trying to cross the border in a long time. They asked us to open the trunk, was a good sign. We told them that our plan. They asked us to open the trunk. They checked the purchases in Prague. They asked us for taxes. We paid the taxes. They had our passports. We get in our car. And we looked at them, and they were talking to each other and looking at the passport and telling, oh my God, it's going to happen again. But lucky us, they came out, they handed us the passport, and they raised the barrier. And there we were in the Niemand world, in the Niemand land, between 2 barriers, the Czech one and the Austrian one. The Austrian officer, the custom guard, smiled at us, took our passports, and asked for a car insurance. We had the car insurance sort of only for Hungary and Czechoslovakia. So he said that we can purchase a temporary one if we have marks, but we didn't. So he accepted whatever money we had in our pockets, and he wrote our temporary car insurance. And Mirel kept saying, raise the barrier, raise the barrier. So finally he did. So Mirel started to speed and to kiss the steering wheel, and I started to cry. He was happy, I was sad. For me, I realized that I am separating from my world. And I had mixed feelings. In a way, I felt liberated. In another way, I felt desolated. It was a complicated feeling, but it was heavy, it was painful. But we were driving and Mirel was singing. And at one point I smelled burned rubber. And we had to pull, and something wrong with the car. So we pulled on the right side, we got out, and a wheel was completely burned. All the rubber was burned. So we took everything out from the trunk. You can imagine what a spectacle, no? All that junk. And Mirel changed the tire. whistling all the time and singing and being happy. And I was shivering of emotions. Not, it was summer, not because of the temperature. I was so emotional and worried. And I don't remember how we made it to Vienna, but in the way there, we realized that we had only one address, the address of some friends of my parents. My parents were deceased for a long time, and the address was very old. And we were saying, what will happen to us if they don't live there anymore? Or if they don't want to know us? We have to go to the police and ask for political asylum. So what they have a choice. They will accept us, or they were going to take us to the Romanian embassy and send us back to Romania. So our doubts were growing and growing. So by the time we reached that address in Vienna, we were quite worried and doubtful. We rang the bell. We saw for the first time an intercom. And when the answer came, I introduced myself. And it was they were the right people. And they recognized me. And they were very attached to my parents, who did a lot for them when they were young. And they all came downstairs and embraced us with all kinds of questions. How did we manage? How did we arrive there? So they took us upstairs. Oh, and at the elevator, they put money at the door in order to have the elevator door open. So we realized that in many places in Vienna, you need to have money to ride the elevator. So we were watching from then on what building we should consider to climb the stairs or to take the elevator. So this is something unimportant, but I'm telling you because it made an impression on me. So they called all their friends, and some of them knew my parents. And they organized a big party at the Prater. Excuse me. And they called somebody in Frankfurt to call Mirel's sister in Romania to tell her in code that we are fine and we are free at last. So all these things were arranged and we were bewildered. We enjoyed all the attention. We tried to answer questions. We ate a lot. We drank a lot. So the weekend was spent with them in a lot of joy and celebration. On Monday, we went to Puius. Puius is the Hebrew immigration aid service. And they service all refugees, no matter ethnic group, religious group. They are very helpful. But the lady clerk greeted us with suspicion. She was very cool. And we filled out some papers, and she invited us to return in a few days, which we did. And when we returned, she was friendlier, excuse me, and she handed us an envelope. And we opened the envelope, and it was the address of a house where there were other Romanian refugees staying. There was a voucher for Berlitz school to study English, and there were money. And for the first time, we were handed money. And we were very, very emotional and embarrassed. And the woman realized this. So she got the paper out and she said, you know what? You can sign here to reimburse everything, to pay us back all our expenses when you are going to be able to do it, which we did it here. At the beginning, we paid $10 a month. And later on, we completed and we paid everything. So please remember, put Hias on the top of your list. It's worth it. So we joined a group at that house. I'm not going to give you details. They were one young woman and two men. One was an acquaintance of Mirel. We were friendly. We spent time together. Then we went to the American embassy where we were interviewed in a very friendly manner. And we filled out an application, and they were quite optimistic that we were going to be approved because of Mirel's profession. He was a mechanical engineer. And so we waited and waited. We did our stuff, our tourism, our observation of the capitalistic world, enjoying the freedom, but being concerned also. Something happened in the meantime. A Romanian personality who got political asylum was drugged with an injection and taken back to Romania. And it became quite scary. So one night when we were leaving a show of lighted sound at the Belvedere Palace, it was free in the garden, we found on our windshield a note threatening us and consider us in Romanian traitors. So next day, Mirel bought a weapon, a whistle. So from then on, Mirel was wearing a whistle in case somebody is approaching us to whistle and to request help. But otherwise, we felt good in Austria. We went to the synagogue, and but we listened to our friends, and we realized that Jews weren't too much loved there, after all. I'm not going to give you details about our stay there, but you can imagine that no matter how much we enjoyed and how much we were doing tourism, deep down in our hearts, we were very concerned and very worried what will happen. So we were checking all the time with the American embassy, and after 2 months, they told us that we were approved and that the Jewish Family Service from Buffalo sponsored us. We didn't know about Buffalo. They said New York State. So we checked on the map. We checked what's happening in Buffalo, what industries, and what the needs will be for Mirel's profession. And we were scheduled to leave together with our friends as a group in 27th of August. And I can tell you how I remember being in the airplane. I don't remember having any ticket, any document, any paper, nothing. I just remember we were in the airplane, and it was a very elegant flight. I don't remember if it was TWA. We were wearing our elegant clothes, and the stewardess was very elegant and pampered us with food and drinks, and people around us knew that we are going to America, that we are going to immigrate to America, and they were very friendly. So we partied on the flight, and we arrived, we flew, and we saw the Statue of Liberty. And it was very emotional, like in the poem. And everybody got quiet, and we were hugging, and the other people were applauding us and saying welcome. And yeah, we arrived at Kennedy Airport. I don't know what happened. They didn't take us to the customs. Somebody was guiding us and taking us very fast to the exit. I don't remember any customs, any control, nothing. We didn't have any papers. The other 3 people had the families waiting for them. And for us, it was a big gentleman, very sweaty, short sleeves, waving the Puius family sign. So we went to him. He just took us by both hands, schlepping us through the crowd in a hurry, saying in Yiddish, Shabbat, 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 airplane. We had to catch a plane from LaGuardia. So they took us fast to a truck. He had already our boxes loaded on his truck. We squeezed in his cabin. It was like an oven, and he was slaloming through the traffic. And we arrived to LaGuardia Airport. We got the plane. We started to breathe. We waved goodbye to that guy. But now what? We didn't speak the whole flight. Both of us were thinking and considering what's next. So we came to Buffalo, and we were greeted by a young couple, Miriam and Sam Sterk. We realized that they were newly married. They were very friendly, very warm, and in a way, she explained that she was new hired by the Jewish Family Service, that actually she was substituting for somebody who was going to services. And later on, we found out that Shirley Feld was the person who was supposed to greet us, and she was attending services at Temple Sinai. So Miriam and Sam took us to the Town Hotel. Do you remember Town Hotel? It was on Main Street with North Street. It was that little hotel. For us, didn't make any difference. So the whole night we were talking. What language? How? I don't know. We were drinking a lot because we had booze duty free from the airplane, and we were talking. They decided the whole weekend they are going to drive us around, to show us Niagara Falls and all things around. And yeah, I wanted to tell you, no, I forget about small details. So on Monday, we went to the Sidway building because the Jewish Family Service was located in the Sidway building. And we were introduced to the people there. We filled out papers. The employment person, Mrs. Tutai, which Regina knows from playing bridge with her, tried to help us with the employment. And again, we were given a stipend. And Miriam, our caseworker, helped us with finding an apartment. And we moved on Brentford Place across from the school. And after a few days, I want to tell you an anecdote. After a few days, Mirel is taking the garbage out. Maybe my friend Pepe knows better the story. A young couple, the lady very pregnant, approaches Mirel and says, well, I was given this address because Jewish Family Service told me that a family by the name of Puius is living here. Do you know them? And Mirel said, here I am. And she started to laugh because her mother from New York, who knew Mirel as a young man, told her, make sure you contact Mirel and you'll recognize him. He has a big, curly, bright yellow hair. And Mirel was bald. Mirel was bald since the age of 26. So they came in, and it happened that Pepe and Murray were also new in Buffalo. And Murray was teaching at a medical school, biochemistry at a medical school. And Pepe was expecting her first child. And we became friends. They gave us their first TV, which was a black and white TV with ears, and we loved it. And this was our first source of getting in touch with the American culture and the language and everything. And certainly they showed us around. But the most important thing I want to tell you is how the Jewish Family Service assisted us through Miriam Sterk. Miriam and Sam became our very, very close friends. Every single evening they were on our steps, and we were doing and talking and doing stuff together. They didn't have any friends or too many friends in Buffalo either. We spent the first Thanksgiving with them, and it was the first Thanksgiving. You can imagine what novelty. Anyhow, what did I want to say? Yes, how smart Miriam Sturck was as our caseworker. She got all the information on paper for us, all the instructions. She didn't babysit us. She let us be on our own, to discover by ourselves what we have to do at the city hall, what we have to do in every single place, what buses to take, how to shop at the supermarket. She wrote what kind of soap to purchase, what kind of detergent to purchase in order not to spend too much money, for the money to be enough. So in short, this was our beginning here. And yes, Buffalo became our house, our home. And we were very happy here, and we progress, and we are very, very grateful to be here. And to tell you the truth, every day I am thankful and grateful, and I feel so lucky. Thank you,
Melania. Yeah, Melania, what an amazing story. I've been crying the whole time. Very heroic, and we're very lucky and blessed to have you in our community. And I think you very much represented HIAS and JFS. So